For more on the story, we're pleased to be joined via Skype by Reagan biographer and the president of Shirley and Banister Public Affairs, Craig Shirley, who Skypes in from Mount Vernon, Virginia. Craig, also the author of the new book, soon to come out, Last Act, The Final Years and Emerging Legacy of Ronald Reagan. Also Skyping in from Utica, New York, the senior analyst for Zogby Analytics, John Zogby. John's the co-author of the book, First Globals, Understanding, Managing, and Unleashing Our Millennial Generation. Gents, as always, thanks for your time here on Newsmax Prime. John Zogby, you told us the Trump lead in the polls was going to go away in September. Here it is, October. He's still ahead. Your take on that?
Well, I'm in a margin of error business, JD,
okay.
So plus or minus a couple of weeks.
Plus or minus 6 points?
I do think he'll fizzle out. I really do. He's starting to. He's peaked a little bit, and I think his numbers are coming down. I think there's a tightening up. But, no, he'll fizzle out shortly.
Well, if he's going to fizzle out, Craig Shirley, why did Barack Obama take aim at him last night on 60 Minutes?
Because I think Donald Trump represents probably right now the greatest indictment against President Obama's administration and his legacy right now. One thing we know about Donald Trump is that he makes great deals. We know so because he says so, but whether or not that's true is that's a perception that he makes great deals, where on the other hand is Obama doesn't make great deals, and that is an historical fact. From the stimulus to Obamacare to the deal with Iran, everything that he's engaged in or brokered is seen as a bad deal. So in a way, there's an inverse proportion ratio between the demise of Barack Obama, the ending of his presidency, and the rise of Donald Trump. And I suspect it will continue to grow.
John Zogby, I want to get back to this CBS News poll and look at some other questions. In the poll, Trump supporters said they would vote for Dr. Ben Carson and it's still a big if Donald Trump gets out of the race. Does that surprise you?
No, it doesn't. This is the period of the outsider, and two completely different personas here. But Ben Carson, at least for now, is providing an alternative persona and a lot of red meat for conservatives in the race, and so. At this point in time, it doesn't surprise me at all that the two are leading the pack and that Carson is still seen as viable. But I do believe that will change.
All right. From numbers to words, Donald Trump at the No Labels Convention in New Hampshire today, talking about what we should be striving towards to try and get things done in Washington. Let's take a listen, then we'll get your reaction.
Tip O'Neill and Ronald Reagan, you probably hear it every speaker. But I look at that as the ultimate. We're two people, different views, different everything, and they liked each other, and they got along, and they got things done.
All right, there's the anecdote from the past. Craig, as a Reagan biographer, is Donald Trump doing the right thing, invoking that bipartisan partnership?
Well, JD, as you know, because you were there, a much better example, if you're looking for bipartisan working together, would have been Bill Clinton and Newt Gingrich in the 104th Congress, is that they got many more things done than did Reagan and Tip O'Neill. And the fact, there's a great mythology that's grown up in Washington and American politics that Reagan and Tip O'Neill were fraternity brothers who partied every night or something like that. Nothing could be further from the truth. Is that
but you got to admit,
I
appreciate the historical fact, but you got to admit, though, Craig, to wrap oneself in the mantle of Reagan, that's not a bad response that Donald gave today in New Hampshire.
No, not at all. It's better than Millard Fillmore or Richard Nixon. But yeah, so in one part of the equation, Reagan did make deals, and Reagan made very good deals, and so in that part, Donald Trump is right. The part where he's wrong is that he and Tip O'Neill were great friends, or they did a lot of deals together. They did some deals together. Some of them were good, others weren't.
All right, let me turn to that question from Seinfeld. What's the deal? What's the deal on the speakership? You take a look at the Republican conference, gentlemen, and, of course, Kevin McCarthy got out of the race last week. The vote was delayed. You saw John Boehner make a big play to try and get Paul Ryan in this thing. The establishment media saying Ryan's a shoo-in. I'm not so sure about that. Craig, what's your take on that?
Donald Trump's at that enviable position where it rarely happens in American politics, and almost regardless of what happens, he can argue it his way. Is that if Paul Ryan had become Speaker, he could have argued that's why my candidacy is important, is the establishment that Paul Ryan represents. With the demise of Paul Ryan, or if he goes down, then he can argue, see, the party is changing because of my pulling it in my direction. So I think that Ryan himself represents everything wrong for the Republican Party, the establishment, Ex-Im Bank, the bank bailout, trade, on issue after issue after issue. He puts his flag firmly in the past of the Republican Party when it needs to go to the future.
So you are saying Ryan is not the best choice among conservatives. John Zogby, I thought I saw you shaking your head a minute ago. Your take on Ryan and this media invention of the Ryan Express to the speakership.
Couple of things, JD. I saw a quote today that Ryan will take one for the team and come on board. Fact is, there is no team, and if there is, it's a losing team right now. If I make two columns, column A are all the reasons that Paul Ryan should throw his hat in the ring. Column B are all the reasons he should not. I can only come up with factors in column B. I don't see any way that he wins by getting into this race. And his biggest and his best excuse right now is family. He's got little kids. Why devote the time at this point?
And the other thing, Craig, is the reality of being the Ways and Means chairman. That is a great job to hold down on Capitol Hill. Craig, who should step forward? Do you think it's going to be Chaffetz or Daniel Webster, or will there be another candidate like Marsha Blackburn? About 30 seconds, Craig.
I think Marsha Blackburn is a very attractive dark horse who may soon emerge as an outside contender.
All right. We will have to leave it there. Craig Shirley, John Zogby, gentlemen, as always, you have our thanks.